Fact: you are on YouTube right now watching my video. There are other things that you may want to do, there are other things that you may need to do, but nevertheless, here you are. First off, thank you, because your time is valuable, your attention is valuable. So valuable, in fact, that 25% of you will already be gone by the time I finish the sentence. See, there was a time when entertaining content was sparse. Before the times of YouTube and the algorithm and Netflix and social media, kids used to play hopscotch, a game so boring that it's probably not even worth giving a description of it. But the world of 2022, for better or worse, is not that. The world of YouTube is not that. There is enough content uploaded to YouTube every single day for you to watch 24/7 for the rest of your life. Some of it is good, most of it is bad. All of it is competing for your time and attention. And so the plan is simple. I make videos, you watch videos, and you feel good because you watch content, and I feel good because I see the little numbers go up, and that's the end of that. And at the end of the day, isn't that why we're all here? To feel good inside. Or better yet, to be educated. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. See, there are 4 major actors that are at play here. You, the viewer, me, the creator, YouTube, the platform, and of course, the advertisers. And these 4 actors interact with each other based on rules. Rules that are built on the infrastructure that YouTube has created and ultimately shapes the way our experience looks. And today, we're going to be talking about 2 of those fundamental structures: the real-time bidding marketplace over the ads that run this entire website, and of course, the YouTube algorithm, which is the engine that keeps us watching. So let me ask you an existential question. Why are you here? If you think you're here because you want to watch my videos, to learn and to be entertained, that's great, but that's only one point of view. What if I told you that the real reason you're here is to buy chicken? Although you might not think you're here to buy chicken, this is certainly how McDonald's or KFC or Wendy's views you. Vehicles to buy chicken. Remember, your time and attention is limited, and in addition, your money is limited. But someone, somewhere, long ago realized that you are more likely to spend your money if and when they grab your attention. And so people who have a lot of chicken to sell don't view my videos as content, and they don't view its purpose as education. To them, this video is bait. 15 minutes of whatever to dangle in front of you so they can grab your attention for 3 seconds, asking you nicely to please buy their chicken nuggets. But it's not just chicken, is it? It's everything. Chicken and video games and exercise equipment and toilet paper, and everyone needs to fight each other to gain those 3 seconds of your time. I mean, in theory, we could give them all a shot, playing 500 ads before every single video. But at that point, you would probably decide you never wanted to use YouTube ever again. And so, to determine who is the lucky business who gets to place their ad in front of my video, YouTube holds an auction. For sale is 3 seconds of your time. A skippable ad before this video that you can put, well, whatever you want. Buy my chicken, download my app, vote for me, get me to 10 million subs, whatever. Whoever wins the auction will get to put whatever they want before your video. The easiest way to enter this auction is through Google Ads, but ultimately this is a fairly open marketplace. So long as you have the proper authorization, Google opens the door to whoever wants to try their hand at earning those 3 seconds of your attention into the bidding war. Each company, whether they sell chicken or sandwiches or cars, eagerly waits in their seats waiting for someone to watch a video on YouTube. They probably won't be waiting for long. There's a lot of YouTube viewers after all. The instant you click on a video, a series of events follows. YouTube goes and fetches that video for you, and at the same time, it tells all those eagerly waiting companies that an auction is ready to happen. You have 80 milliseconds to tell us how much you are willing to pay for this skippable ad. 80 milliseconds. You can probably tell why this is called real-time bidding, because everything happens basically instantaneously the moment you click. Everyone sends in their bid, how much they're willing to pay for your 3 seconds of time, and finally, YouTube awards the spot to the highest bidder. Advertisements work. Remember, if someone is selling chicken for $1 and you buy an ad for 1 cent that makes someone 2 percentage points more likely to buy their chicken, it is a successful campaign. It's worth the money, and so businesses will pay YouTube to make sure that they can grab your attention. YouTube then takes that money, gives some of it to the content creator for making the bait, and keeps some of it for himself for making the platform. And so advertisers are happy because you're more likely to buy their chicken now. I'm happy because I made 1/10 of a penny, and you're happy because you watched a nice video, and now you're craving chicken. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And look, there's a balancing act to all this. Too many ads? No one will want to sit through that and watch the content. Bad content? No one's going to click that and watch an ad. That way, YouTube tries to promote the best content and limit the number of ads, which is good, and everyone has a great time. Win-win, no downsides, right? Well, okay, let's dive into this a little bit further. So we just said that YouTube can't show people too many ads or else no one is going to want to be on YouTube. So in order to grow their revenue, they have to keep the same number of ads, but make them more effective. Make you more likely to click, more likely to buy. Thus enters the realm of targeted advertisement. Note that this process we just described of real-time bidding all happens automatically, using computers that are coded to place these bids. I mean, it is done in 80 milliseconds after all. There are other models of advertising that don't require this type of real-time auction. Take for example the billboards that you may see while driving your car down a highway. No one is fighting over that spot to place their advertisement every single time a car passes by. Instead, there is one image that every single car sees regardless of who might be driving by. The advantage of bidding every single time is that you can adjust how much you want to spend depending on who the person is that is watching the video. The idea is fairly simple. Tailor the ads you show each individual by showing them products that they are more likely to buy. If you're selling chicken, don't bother advertising to vegetarians and instead stick with those who really enjoy fast food. But in order to do that, I need to know a little bit about you. The more I know, the more I'm able to tell what kind of stuff you might want to buy. Things like how old are you? What's your gender? Are you a parent? How much money do you have? This kind of demographic information is powerful in and of itself, but is only the tip of the iceberg. There are many things that a large company like Google can learn about you, many of which are very valuable for getting you to buy things. Questions like, where do you work? Where do you go to school? Are you planning on buying a car? Try this one over here. You're looking to start college or learn a new language. You like fast food, organic food, eating out or cooking in. If they're just starting college, why not show ads about laptops and supplies? If they're looking to buy a new car, maybe some car companies would be really interested in grabbing your 3 seconds of attention. So when you're registering to bid using Google Ads, you can specify that you only want to target individuals who have certain characteristics. If you're McDonald's, perhaps people who like organic food isn't the best market for you, but fast food lovers, that's who you want to talk to. Information is power, so the more information they have, the more effective ads they can serve, targeted to you and your buying habits. And let me tell you, Google has a lot of it. This is the infrastructure that much of the internet is built on, including YouTube. Free services, paid for by ads, built on your data. This model, whether you support it or not, has consequences, and it leads us to a conversation that is very important to me: privacy. See, initially speaking, it might not seem that collecting data in and of itself is necessarily bad or harmful, but the way that I like to look at this issue is through the lens of power. Data is power. It can be used to do good things, it can be used to do harmful things, and of course, we should note that these two categories are value judgments, which can be subjective based on who you ask. But everyone has something they'd like to keep to themselves, and everyone has lines they don't cross on how they'd like their data to be used. The important thing to remember is that once that power is given, it's very difficult to take it back, and it is very difficult to monitor or gauge how exactly that power is being used. Internal policies and governmental policies draw lines on what is okay and what isn't, but this does not mean that there will never be an instance where your data will be used in a way you don't like. I mean, putting aside unintentional privacy violations like when companies are hacked and data is compromised, but policies change, both internal policies at Google and external policies like federal laws and government regulations. Within my lifetime, we've seen major shifts in privacy and surveillance policy at the governmental level, both in positive and negative directions. Sometimes these changes will favor you, sometimes they won't. The point is, you don't control if or when it will happen. That decision is no longer up to you. It's now in the hands of Google. Quite frankly, however, I'm not as concerned about policies that say things along the lines of, we will never do XYZ, as much as those policies that are left intentionally vague. Things like, we will only use your data to improve your experience. I mean, okay, sure, at a certain point you just kind of relinquish control of your data and leave it in the hands of someone else to interpret what improving my experience means. In the best case scenario, nothing happens. Data is used and stored responsibly and is never used in a way that you don't want it to. But history is littered with examples of how information about an individual was used to cross these lines. I'll mention this again. These lines are subjective. Different people have different lines and some are more comfortable sharing aspects of their lives than others. But what's undeniable is that this is ultimately a trade-off. Whether or not you believe these actors are good or bad is mostly irrelevant. The important thing is this: the way we design our infrastructure and set up our incentives will determine what kind of platform we engage with. Google runs on ads. Those ads play before YouTube videos. In order to have effective ads, they collect data to best target those ads and ultimately use some of that revenue to maintain and grow their platforms, one of them being YouTube. The trade-off here? A free video hosting platform in exchange for a bit of your privacy. We might think this trade-off is worth it, you might not, but ultimately this is the model that YouTube is built on. There are other ways they can make money, of course. You never want to put all your eggs into one basket, but the bulk of it is exactly that. Targeted ads, built on data, lead to revenue. But ultimately, privacy is only one of the consequences of having a content system built on top of ads. Remember, as with any system, as you add new actors with different incentives, oftentimes you need to make trade-offs. YouTube has an entire page titled Advertiser-Friendly Content, detailing the topics that you can and cannot monetize. In a lot of these cases, you're still allowed to upload the content, but for certain sensitive, controversial, or unsettling content, advertisers might not necessarily want to play their ads about chicken nuggets before talking about serious current events. When requesting that their ad be played before your video, businesses are given the ability to opt out of that slot if it contains discussion on certain subject matters. Ultimately, this is a balancing act that YouTube and its content creators make. Although videos like mine are relatively tame and abstract, plenty of good and important content out there gets demonetized because they talk about subjects that advertisers might not like. Regardless of what you think about specific policies at YouTube, the important takeaway here is that they have an effect. Whether it's talking about the content of a video being appropriate for monetization or general discussion on privacy, the infrastructure that is used here has consequences for the way we use and interact with YouTube. But like we said, people don't come to YouTube to watch ads, they come here to watch content. In order to watch those effective ads, they need to put forward the most effective bait, videos you are likely to click and therefore watch some ads. With that, let's talk about another hot topic, the YouTube algorithm. Every content creator's favorite thing, at least when it works in their favor. The YouTube recommendation system is what determines the videos you see on your YouTube homepage or in recommended videos, and chances are it's how you first came across my channel. The exact details of how this algorithm works is incredibly valuable, as it would allow people to use, and sometimes abuse, it to get the most views on their own videos. You may have heard some high-level strategies regarding the algorithm, strategies that will help you get to the most clicks and recommendations, but here at NoMagic, we believe in just that, NoMagic. Digging a tiny bit deeper to understand some of the inner workings of the algorithm to figure out how it actually works, at least enough without making this video too long. To understand the algorithm, let's talk about the impossible problem at hand. As mentioned, there are a lot of YouTube videos. Any one of them could be recommended to you. And on top of that, as mentioned, there is a lot of content being generated every single second, and YouTube has to take that video set and bring it down to the top 20 videos to put on your recommendations. Oh, and again, you have to do it in a matter of milliseconds, from the time the user types in youtube.com to the millisecond that the page loads for them. The algorithm is divided into two steps. The first is a broader filtering phase that they refer to as candidate generation. This takes a set of all videos on YouTube and narrows it down into several hundred videos, answering the question, what kind of video is the user likely to have watched next, given their past viewing and search history? The second step is to take those hundreds of videos and further fine-tune them, using more data, more information about the user and the videos they might want to watch, and sort of ranking them from best to worst, selecting the handful of videos which would be best for the user and presenting them on your home and up next page. We need to divide this process into two steps simply because there are just too many videos on YouTube to fine-tune and score every single one of them. Remember, we have to do this all in a fraction of a second, so the strategy is to get hundreds of potential videos in the first phase quickly, and then further narrow that down to a series of few dozen to actually show you. So how does this actually work? Well, it deals with a technology called deep learning, which around the time this was first implemented was a very quickly growing and hot area of research. It still is, for sure, but around 2016, when this technology was first published in a paper, it was quite something else. Now, some of the technology discussed here is a bit outdated, but even with improvements to the tech and adjusting of some of the types of videos the algorithm favors, the core ideas here are relevant and important to understand to get a grasp of how the algorithm was designed. If you're not too familiar with deep learning or neural networks or anything like that, don't worry. Let's start by trying to approach this task as if we were doing it by hand. First, let's state the problem we're trying to solve. We need a function. Yes, those things with inputs and outputs and a rule to get us from those inputs to those outputs. The function has multiple inputs. It takes in a set of the last, let's say, 50 videos you watched and the last 50 things you searched for on YouTube, combining them with some other basic demographic information like age, gender, and geography, and outputs the idea of the video you are most likely to watch next. The first phase here is based on the idea that people with similar viewing histories, generally speaking, are likely to want to watch similar content. For example, if Jake and Amy both really like cat videos and Jake also really liked this new video, then Amy has a decent chance of liking it too. The idea is referred to as collaborative filtering, taking many users' preferences and history and using that data to try and recommend content to individual users. So, let's try this out. Here's a video. I've censored out the video because we don't know much about it. All we know is that 3 million people have watched it, and of those 3 million people, a lot of them tended to click on this other video. Not all of them, but quite a big percentage. Maybe it was a part 2 of the video, or perhaps it had similar content but from a different creator. Or maybe it was a reaction video and they were going back to find the original. Point is that we know that these two videos are related to each other by looking at the patterns of the people who watched it, and so we might continue to recommend this other video if they watched the first one. You can imagine a bunch of these kinds of relationship as they get more and more complicated. Say, if you watch these 5 videos, almost always you watch the 6th video, but never the 7th video, but if you only watch 2 of the 5, then you very rarely watch the 6th video. Maybe some sort of collaboration between several creators of different sizes? Not sure, but again, the data suggests that there exists some relationship with these videos, even if we aren't able to describe it intuitively very well. There exists some formula, some function that describes the relationship between every single set of videos that can appear on a YouTube watchlist to each other. We've begun to pick at that formula a little bit here, but obviously we've only really looked at a couple of examples. We need a formula, a rule that can find the relationships between all videos. Deep learning is, in one sentence, a technique used to find good approximations for these functions. To put it crassly, using all of the trillions of points of data you have to sort of guess and check and adjust your function. Horrible oversimplification, I know, I apologize, and if you're interested, I'll be sure to explain more in depth in the future. But this is a very common theme in machine learning and deep learning. We first describe the function we want to solve, namely its inputs and outputs. To repeat, in this case, the input is your watch history, search history, and demographic information, and the output is the video that you're most likely to watch next. And the deep learning algorithm uses the data available to it to attempt to find a function that really captures the relationship between the inputs and the outputs. And I really mean a mathematical function here, with numbers and multiplication and addition and absolute value. There's a little bit of work involved in getting more qualitative data like video IDs and geographic location into flat-out quantitative numbers, but really after that, there's no magic here. It's all based on operations that most of you learned when you were younger. Again, we'll explore the inner workings of deep learning and in general machine learning more in the future. For now, let's talk about the YouTube algorithm specifically and some of the ideas it uses to model this function between its inputs and outputs. Interestingly enough, YouTube treats your watch history and search history almost as if it were a language. Remember, the function we're trying to solve is, given the last 50 videos you watched, what is likely to be the next video you watch, the 51st video. This sounds like a very common machine learning problem that's most notably present in our lives in autocomplete, something you can see on your phone's keyboard or on Google search. To highlight, suppose I give a partial sentence. I went to the store today to pick up some eggs for my blank. What goes in the blank? It could be any number of things. Some words are better than others, and some are so wrong that it doesn't even make grammatical sense. Neural networks have been incredibly valuable in this field, trying to predict the next word in a sentence, especially in recent years where it's gotten really scary good. So what the YouTube algorithm essentially does is take each video ID and treats it like a word in a sentence, and it tries to predict the next word, the next video, just like we did with our sentence about eggs. Its deep learning model can learn this relationship between the previous 50 videos and the 51st video to give a pretty decent recommendation system to any user. So using this, we generate a list of, let's say, the top 200 videos you're most likely to have watched next, and we move on to the second phase of the algorithm, ranking. This is where the fun begins. Your goal is now to narrow down these 200 videos into a top 20, the 20 quote-unquote best videos to show to the viewer. But before we were determining based on the relationships that videos had to each other. You can do that still here, but ultimately how you want to design this portion is up to you. You have a bunch of data at your disposal, including watch times, click rates, search and watch history, demographic information, their interaction with different channels and topics, and, well, the world is your playground. Your goal? Determine the best possible version of the YouTube algorithm. Again, as usual, our goal is to design a function. This time taking in all that data about a user and the information about the video at hand and gives a score between 0 and 1. Higher score means you think this video should show up on their feed, lower scores mean not so much. This is the question that YouTube engineers, designers, and executives have to answer. What kind of characteristics are we looking for in a video when we go and recommend it? Is it how likely the user is to click on the like button? How long they're willing to watch the video? How likely they're willing to stay on YouTube after they watch? How likely they're going to click? How much revenue is it likely to generate? All sorts of questions that could be asked depending on the goals of YouTube at that particular point in time. The deep learning model will look at the user data that you feed it and find a function that best characterizes what your goals are. Let's say, for example, we want to score based on how likely someone is to click on a particular video, the click rate. We'll say higher click rates should get a higher score, but lower click rates should get a lower score. But also, not everyone clicks on a video with the same probability. Sure, videos with the higher click rates in general tend to have higher click rates for any given individual, but also it depends on who that person is. So we'll also ask the model to take into account the user's past interactions with the channel that made the video. Perhaps there's some relationship between how often that user clicks on videos from that channel, or if they're even subscribed, and whether they're likely to click on it now. We then use the vast set of data we have available to us on how every user clicked on every single video to let the deep learning model try and figure out how likely they are to click the video we're ranking. Perhaps if you don't like the videos recommended when you optimize by click rate, you can switch to something else, like watch time or time on app, and let the deep learning model try to figure out different patterns. Regardless of what your objective is, the algorithm will shape how YouTube looks. If YouTube wants to score based on click-through rates, then clickbaity titles will be the norm. If they want to score based on time on app, then you will find users will spend more and more time on YouTube. If they want to score based on whether you have the word cat in your title, then you will see a lot more cat videos, or at least videos that pretend to have cats in them. The algorithm belongs to them, and it is fine-tuned to better fit the vision that YouTube has for its site. Sometimes it helps a particular creator, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it recommends great content, other times not so much. Let's circle back. So we talked about two major topics, the advertising infrastructure that YouTube and Google are built upon, and the algorithm that recommends content to you and I. And there are common shared ideas. Data is needed to find the users who are most likely to help out advertisers, and it's also needed to find videos that are most helpful to viewers, whether that's your demographic information, interests, or your watch and search history. There again is a trade-off here. The more data they have, the more effective these tools become. More targeted ads, more targeted recommendations. But on the other hand, the more your privacy gets pushed to the side. Using that data, they serve the content that I create that they deem is best for you, which they dangle in front of you as bait alongside an ad. Third-party companies bid against each other using the information they have about you to buy a few seconds of your limited time and pay YouTube a small sum in hopes that you will indeed buy their chicken. In exchange for making the content that initially started the cycle, I get a cut of that cash as well. Another common idea is the way that these two concepts shape the way that YouTube looks. YouTube needs advertisements and advertisers to exist. They also need viewers to watch those advertisements, and they need content creators to engage those viewers. These two structures tie together the relationships between these four parties, and so how they're designed determines how YouTube looks. And each of these parties have different goals. YouTube has different goals than advertisers, who differ from creators, who differ from viewers. And of course, all of our goals are complicated and changing constantly with the times. I, for example, care very little about YouTube's aggregate watch times or revenue. What I care most about is getting high-quality educational content available to as many people as possible. The algorithm can help me do that, but it's important to realize that my goals and the goals of the algorithm is optimized on don't align perfectly. Take for example the feature of watch time, something that YouTube has used as a metric for good content. Perhaps longer videos are better for watch time because there's more video to watch, or perhaps shorter videos are better because people are less fatigued after watching a video and are willing to watch another video right after it. But it doesn't really matter which is better or which the algorithm favors. From the perspective of educational content, it's important to understand that some topics are better discussed in long-form videos, while others in short-form videos. And as creators, we have to balance what would be the best format to present this content in to maximize understanding, versus what would be the best format to grow our audience by tailoring to the algorithm. This doesn't even cover the realm of demonetized content. I don't personally experience this, but there are plenty of topics out there that are incredibly important to discuss for creators and viewers, but sensitive topics that businesses will not want to put their ad in front of. So content creators discussing these relevant and important topics have to decide whether they want to go in depth about these topics, or whether they want to make any money off of that video. The structures shape the content that we're shown, but also incredibly importantly, it shapes the content that is made, and not always optimized to the goals that we might want. This kind of alignment problem between the models we build and our real-world goals is a common theme both in machine learning and just in the way that our infrastructure is built in our society at large. The structures we create reflect the outcomes we ultimately end up with. So I discuss all of these topics together because it shapes the core of the content and community that we form. Chasing an algorithm or chasing advertisers is exhausting, and most creators would rather be focusing their time on just making the content that they find important. Ultimately, it's a balancing act between creating the content you want and you believe is important, and creating the content that YouTube and Google and advertisers favor. By this point in the video, somewhere between 70 and 85% of you are probably already gone. Again, lots of content, limited time and attention, totally understandable. But for those of you who remain, first off, thank you. We're now going to be talking about this channel specifically, so feel free to click away if you're not particularly interested. Now that we've talked about how YouTube and Google make money, the next question is, how does NoMagic make money? And the answer is simple. I have a job. I'm a software engineer that works 40+ hours a week, and I spend much of my daylight hours doing just that. And it pays for the resources I need to make the highest quality videos I can. Advertisement dollars help as well, but are not nearly stable enough to actually build anything on top of at this point, ranging from really high with successful videos all the way down to dollars or pennies per day. But more scarce than money is the resource of time. When I get home, as often as I can, I start working on scripts, editing videos, and ultimately creating content for all of you. This script alone took 25 hours, and editing will take much longer, but I put in the effort because I believe in this work. I like knowing there are people out there who I'm helping because I know from personal experience that those resources aren't always available to everyone. This channel is new, and the support so far has been amazing. And since we're starting fresh, I put in a lot of thought on how I want this channel to look. Ultimately, I want to do this the right way. I'm here to create the content that I think is most important, which won't always be the content that does well with the YouTube algorithm. Sometimes my goal will align with YouTube's. But what's more important to me than getting the most clicks is creating the highest quality content geared towards learning and understanding. Growth is important for sure, and I'm going to do everything I can to grow as well, and I hope you will all help me with that. But I'm not going to compromise content in the name of growth. Also, all scalable educational content I create will be available for everyone, free of charge. That means if it's just as easy for me to share educational content with 10 people as it is with 10,000 people, I will always choose the latter. No GPA walls, no test walls, no paywalls. Any videos, any PDFs, codes, stencils, or bases, this content is here for you. I want to keep doing this so long as there are people out there who think this is valuable. But in order to make this sustainable, I need your support, especially in a way that is independent from YouTube. You may have noticed in the background this plaque. On it is the name of 2 of my founding Patreon supporters, 2 individuals who donate monthly to help keep this channel going. I know I'm a newer, smaller channel, which means that individuals who support me earlier on are taking a big leap of faith for the growth of this channel, and that appreciation can't be expressed enough. So I have a few limited time donation levels for founders specifically being on the plaque and a few other special bonuses. Like I said before, I want to do this right. I want to create the highest quality content regardless of advertisers or algorithms, and I want it available for everyone to consume, and these 2 are helping me do that, helping me be as independent as I can. So specifically, thank you to my first 2 patrons, Marco A. and Michael T. Y'all are the best, and I know I won't ever forget my first 2 patrons. If you'd like to join them, my Patreon link is in the description. You don't have to donate, you can just window shop the perks if you'd like, but even if you don't, that's totally fine. Your support by just watching until the end of the video is appreciated 100%. We have big goals for this year. I want to grow, I want to hit 100,000 subscribers, I want to have a regular upload schedule. Seriously, thank you so much for a wonderful 2021, and here's to a great 2022.